Hey guys, Tool Legit City here. Today we're going to be going over some of the starting duplicate combinations that I go for and the favorite combinations that I start out with in, if not all my runs, most of my runs. For the most part though, this is really up to you, but I'm going to talk about why I choose certain combinations and what I'm looking for in the long run. Now to get started, we're going to start with Ada. And my first dupe is typically always going to be a researcher. And I think about the long term. And one of the things to think about is if you have your researcher be also the rocket pilot, you actually have an easier time doing the data analysis research, which is the space rocket research. Since your researcher is also a rocket pilot, they could just drive the rocket out themselves. And for the most part, that's the combination that I go for. The third trait or interest right here is suit wearing, and that's really just for more run speed. You could choose not to have a third interest or have this be something else. Just know that in the early game, your researcher is going to be occupied researching and not be able to do anything else unless there's no power, in which case they'd probably be running on the wheel. Now, my second dupe, I look for the mechatronics. Mechatronics is a skill that requires the supplying and operating interest tree in order to allow you to build the items and buildings from the shipping category. Things like the auto sweeper, the loader, the receptacle, the conveyor rails, anything to move and ship along the solid debris items. Now, of course, you'd probably want that person to be a builder as well. There's also a natural synergy with building supplying, as they'd be able to pick up the items, take it to what they're building, and if they're going to finish the supply order, they could start building right away. Now, this is also because you would have to have all three interests. It's rare to run into a natural mechatronics builder, and I always try to get one if I can, as that's really important for the long term. Now, my third duplicant, of course, has to be someone with the excavation skill, the digging interest, and also tidying, as no one else in the colony is most likely going to be taking care of the bathrooms ASAP. So it's usually important to have a person digging and tidying. Now, the last interest, it's going to be up to you, depending on if you want to start off or even think about the midterm, long term. If you want to do a lot of farming or ranching as a food source, this is usually decided by the asteroid that you start off on. As if you understand the composition of the biomes, you'd be a little bit more well informed if you want to do ranching or farming, but that could be swapped. Now, if you do plan on doing ranching, but of course you need to get a little bit of leeway for food in the beginning, having your rancher do farming in the beginning is actually okay, as you do need that farming skill in order to get ranching anyways. Now, after you do have a larger colony, I would advise to make your farmer and rancher different duplicants, as the farming or ranching job is very time consuming. Now, that's the interest combination, but we haven't talked about the traits right here. The traits actually don't really matter. There's really just one negative trait that you should never get, and that's flatulence. Flatulence is when your duplicants release natural gas, and that's actually the worst trait possible, as even if they're wearing an Atmos suit, the natural gas leaves the suit, making it so that you could easily have the flatulence run into a vacuum area and ruin it, or ruin your gas box and gas storage, or even other things as well. The flatulence is not something you could control, and playing around it is a very tough time, as you can accidentally break things. Liquid locks that are one tile could be pushed over because of the flatulence, and it's a nightmare. That would be hands down the worst trait. After that, I would say mouth breather and bottomless stomach and narcolepsy may be something to avoid, but it's really not too bad. A lot of the other traits is really negligible and shouldn't really worry. It's really just flatulence that you can't really take and shouldn't take. Now, the other traits, the other negative traits, positive or negative, it doesn't really matter. It's marginal, as I said before, for the bonuses they give you. And I honestly would just take the interest over everything else, as that makes it easier to manage the morale of each duplicant. But that is the combination, the traits I avoid. If you guys have your own favorite combination of these duplicants, leave a comment down below and share what does your favorite combination to start out with. And of course, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, guys.